Hi there, Tracy here with another layout video. I'm using my Sock Hop Studio Calico kit with the penny loafers and poodle skirts add-ons, and I'm just taking a piece of craft paper. And for this layout, I actually did have an idea of the color scheme I wanted to use. I definitely wanted to use some of those yellow papers and that red number paper and the teal. So I'm going to start by cutting out some of that basic gray red number paper, and I love, love, love that paper. It's my favorite item in the whole kit. And I'm just going to, instead of making a smooth cut along it, I'm just going to cut around the little boxes. And then I'm going to put it down, and this layout is not going to be a layered layout, so I'm going to lay everything out on the background paper, and instead of layering it all out, it's going to be all beside one another. So then that teal paper is by Pebbles, and it has cursive writing of the days of the week on it. And then this chevron paper, this yellow chevron, is by Basic Gray from, I believe it's from the Soleil collection. And I'm going to leave a little space between those two for some buttons. I really like the contrast between the cursive writing on the Pebbles paper and the graphic look of the chevron. And so I'm just picking out some buttons. So the kit came with some October Afternoon buttons. The teal, the pink, and the yellow button are from the kit. And then I just wanted to get some deeper colors in that strip of buttons, so I went to my stash and got some My Mind's Eye buttons. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to use those basic gray vellum strips as a top and a bottom to this layout, but I'm not going to lay them down until last because they're stickers and so you can't move them. This arrow paper is from the Fifth and Frolic by Dear Lizzie, and I'm just cutting that to size. When I make this kind of a layout in general, I put the smaller elements at the top and the larger elements towards the bottom, just because it kind of gives it a bit of grounding, I guess. And having some smaller elements really gives it a lot more detail. So, I'm putting two separate pieces that are stacked there instead of one piece beside the arrow paper. And now I'm playing around with what kind of embellishments I might use here. I really like that heart die cut from the Studio Calico. It just came in the kit. And now I'm trying to decide what's going to be my top element on the left-hand column. And that's an L Studio little journaling tag there, and I like that, but it's not quite the right. It's going to bring my layout too tall. So it's too tall, and it's not quite wide enough, and I didn't want to cut it to make it. It's either too wide or not wide enough, depending on what I wanted to do with it. So I'm still kind of thinking about that, and I'm thinking about using those brads, but I'm not going to end up using them. And so what am I doing here? Yes, I think I'm getting pretty close to being ready to glue everything down. So now I think I'm going to, oh yes, I'm going to punch some teal hearts from that Pebbles paper, and this is my way of bringing some teal over to the right hand side of the layout, and that was my heart to heart punch by Stampin' Up. I picked it up when it was on clearance when they were changing over from the lever punches to the new folded up ones, and I got it for really, really cheap, and I love it. It's one of my most used products. So now that is a Studio Calico journaling tag, and it's really cool. Those blue and red stripe lines on it for notebook paper are actually sewn on with machine stitching, so it's really, really cool. It didn't cut all that straight, but I couldn't be bothered with fixing it, so I just left it. I grabbed a photo of my layout at this point because now I have to go back and outline all those pieces, and I was just worried that I might lose the layout. So I'm just outlining the heart on that, not the overall shape, and it had some little knobbies on it, so I had to sand those off. And I had some pencil lines on some of these pieces, so I just had my little eraser out. I just used one of those Stettler white rubber erasers. And that pink paper also came in the kit. I can't remember. It's a tiny little piece. Oh yes, it's from the Fifth and Frolic collection. It had the giant chevron on the back side of it, which I used on another layout. Outlining the heart as well so that it will stand out. And now on this part, I didn't want this piece to be the only piece that didn't have outlining on it, but I really liked it as it was. So what I did was I outlined it with a .05 pen, which is a very, very, very narrow pen. And so you can't even see it from this far up. But when you look at it closely, it just does help to tie it in with the other pieces, I think. So that's a good compromise, a way to kind of, outline without really outlining. So now these are the basic gray navy chipboard letter stickers that came in the kit. Pretty much every single thing on this layout is from the kit except for the Studio Calico journaling tag. These are Jenny Bolin red letter stickers that came in the kit as well. And then these are October Afternoon Mini Market stickers. And so yeah, it took a little bit of fiddling to figure out how I was going to fit all of this onto that tiny little piece of paper. But I ended up coming up with something that I think works. So there you go. I'm just gonna place all of those. And I usually start with the letter that has a bit of a landmark. So I chose to start with the S because it was right against the edge of the paper, and then I could arrange everything else around it, and I knew that it would fit. And it's just wax paper that I use. I get a lot of questions about that. And so there's my title card. There it is. I'm going to go back now and add an exclamation mark because this layout is really all about the anticipation of us just arriving in New York. And so the exclamation point was actually quite important. So now I'm just adding, I forgot to zoom out, but there you go. Now I'm adding those basic gray vellum strips. Now these are very sticky. They look like washi tape, but they will tear your paper. So I've just left the ends of it rolled up so that it's not stuck to my paper so that I can decide how long I want it to be. I really wanted my project to be, everything else to be kind of laid down before I stuck that down, just so that I could be sure that I got it the right length. So now I'm going to place that teal piece, and once that piece is placed, then I can cut my vellum sticker. And so I'm just skipping over the buttons, and I'm going to lay down all of the paper elements first, and then add the top strip of the vellum. And the bottom strip of vellum says you can go your own way, and the top is matte paper, so it kind of fits with the travel theme of this layout. I didn't write, oh yes I did, I wrote New York City in the journaling, so I did write that down. I didn't put a date on this layout, that's one thing that I didn't put, but I might go back and add a date, or you can just tell that it's from my New York trip. Sometimes it's obvious. So now I am going back and I'm marking the buttonholes. I'm going to hand stitch these buttons down. I don't like hand sewing on my layouts. I just don't enjoy the process of doing that. And I scrapbook for fun and for stress relief, so I don't usually like to spend a lot of time doing things I don't like when I'm scrapbooking. But in this case, I think that the stitching is worth it, so I'm going to go ahead and stitch. And I was kind of going back and forth between whether I was going to use white thread or black thread. I think black thread really makes buttons quite bold. They make them stand out quite a lot. And I'm just using embroidery floss there. And so I decided to go with the black for a couple of reasons, because I wanted the buttons to stand out because they're the only non-paper, non-flat element on this layout, but also there's quite a bit of black in other parts, like my sister's sweater is quite black, and then the navy blue word of awaits really has a bold dark color to it as well. So I think that just using that tiny bit of extra black just adds, just kind of ties everything in together a little bit. I did go back and outline those vellum strips because they were just blending into the craft background. So now I'm going to place my embellishments. And so I decided to add an asterisk there beside the triangles. Those wood veneer triangles are by So Delicious. And I really wanted to, I'm looking for a sticker here, and that is from, I think it's from Crepe Paper. No, it's from October Afternoon. I could be wrong on that. It might be Crepe Paper. And then I'm just adding some enamel dots throughout, and these enamel dots are great. I love these things. They just add the tiniest little pop of color, and it just really, for this kind of layout in particular, it's good to put a couple of things just outside of, in unexpected places, and enamel dots are perfect for doing that because they're a little pop of unexpected, you know, they're outside of the grid and stuff, but they're not overwhelming. So I really love those for that. I'm going to glue down those little triangle arrows, and now I really wanted to put these arrows right here pointing to the title because I think the title gets a little lost in this layout just because I think that number paper below the photo is such a bold element that for me, when I look at this, my eye is always drawn there. So putting those arrows so that they were pointing to the title, I think made a big difference. And then I didn't want the arrows to be just floating there by themselves. So I put a little asterisk beside them. I'm going to mist that asterisk with first Taxi, which is too bright yellow. And then I'm going to go back and do butterscotch over top so that it warms it up a little bit and makes it more of the same tone of the other yellow paper that's already in the layout. And then I do this off screen. You're not going to see this until the photo's at the very end, but I added a dot to that beside the yellow asterisk. I thought I couldn't add another dot because I had run out of red, but then I remembered I had another brand of dots in my stash, and so I just ran and got another little red dot to put beside the asterisk, and that just makes there be kind of like three elements there, the triangles and the asterisk and the dot. So that's my layout. Thanks for watching, guys.